Tell me if this sounds familiar. You finally sit down to write, coffee in hand, novel project opened on your laptop, and nothing happens. You want to write, but you just can't get in the mood, and suddenly you're scrolling Instagram or reorganizing your desk for the third time. But what if I told you there are 5 super simple, super quick ways to flip that creative switch on demand and go from distracted and stuck to words flowing in 10 minutes or less. In this video, I'm going to share what those 5 techniques are, and these are things that I use every single day to instantly lock in the writing mood. And I'm also going to share a little bonus tip at the end to help you lock into character voice. And this is something that has honestly changed my life as a writer. Let's get into it. Welcome back. If you're new here, I'm Abby, and I help writers make their stories matter and make their author dreams come true. And if that's something you're on a mission to do, you're going to want to subscribe to this channel. I would love to have you here in the community. Okay, step 1. Decide your vibe. This might be something you've already done for your work in progress, but this is something that I like to do as soon as I start a new book project. And that is to figure out the vibe of the story. I ask myself, what moods, colors, and cultures inspire me? These 3 ingredients are instrumental to building a story world that you actually want to spend time in. A story world that you get excited each day to open your laptop and step into that fictional world. And don't worry if you've seen this vibe done before, even if you've seen it done before many times, it has to be something that you personally love and you connect with. And remember, creating a one-of-a-kind vibe is all about taking those ingredients that you have seen done before and changing them a little bit, transforming them into your own unique recipe that is unlike anything that's been done before. So after I decide what vibe I want my book to have, I will make a quick little bullet point list just for my own reference and break down what that vibe feels like to me. Let me show you what I mean by sharing with you now my vibe list for my novel, The Other World. So this is taken directly from my notes. I just wrote, the vibe will be the moodiness of the Pacific Northwest, like rain and evergreens and seaplanes and the gray ocean and orcas, just that rustic, wet woodland beauty. Yes. Moody diners and just small town aesthetic, cozy, soft, rainy days wrapped in a blanket, the beauty of heartache and isolation. So obviously, pretty chaotic. I mean, some of those things are visuals, some of them are moods, some of them are like specific things like diners and small towns, and others are more abstract, like loneliness and heartache. But I really encourage you to make this vibe list for your book, because even if you have done all the outlining and the character profiles and the plotting, but you don't have a really specific vibe, it's going to be hard to lock into that writing mood. Okay, and this vibe list is actually something that we're going to use as sort of a tool to build the other things that will help us get into the writing mood. And one of those things, actually the number 1 thing I recommend making, is a visual mood board. If you know me, you know this is absolutely my number 1 go-to favorite way to step into my story world and to really create that visual aesthetic and feel like it is a real place that I'm going to each day when I open up my laptop. And the best part is this is so much fun. So basically the concept is to take a bunch of images and put them together in one place so that you almost feel like you're watching a movie trailer of your book as you look at this mood board. So I like to start this process with a color palette and then my vibe list that we just made. So you're going to just take your vibe list, take some of the things on that vibe list, like maybe there's specific things like small town, moody diner, seaplanes, ocean, right? Those are some of the elements on my list. And I would just literally go to Pinterest and start searching for those things. And pro tip, if you add the word aesthetic after any of these keywords on Pinterest, you will get way better images that feel more cinematic and matching the vibe that you're going for. And as far as the color palette goes, that's going to be different for any work in progress you may work on. So for The Other World, my color palette had a lot of moody, like grays and blues and creams and more cozy colors, like kind of an overcast rainy day was like my color palette for building that mood board. And a book like 100 Days of Sunlight, for example, had a totally different color palette. It was very bright and sunny, lots of yellow, lots of pastel colors, because that just felt like the mood of that book. The cover says it all. And once you have that mood board and you have a few images on there and you can kind of scroll a little bit and immerse yourself in the mood and the vibe and the aesthetic of your story, this is like rocket fuel to my creativity. When I go to one of my mood boards and I just start scrolling through those pictures and I start to feel immersed in what that book would feel like if it was a movie or a TV series and I could actually see it. Tip number 3 for locking into the writing mood is to curate a writing ready playlist. So this could simply be like a deep thinking focus music type of playlist, or it could be something that feels like the soundtrack of the movie. If you could snap your fingers and turn your book into a movie and watch it, this is the music that would be playing in the background. I usually make 2 playlists for each book I write. One is a playlist of lyrical music. That's basically like what would play during the travel montages or in the trailer or in the end credits. And then I have a separate playlist of instrumentals that feels like the underscore, like what would be playing in the background of certain scenes that would really set the mood, whether it's a sad tone or more romantic moment or something kind of silly and sneaky. And if you're not sure where to begin with curating a writing ready playlist for your book, I would recommend going to comp movie soundtracks. Okay, so any movie or TV show that has a similar vibe and genre as the book you're writing. And this can be a helpful shortcut so that you don't get distracted and start listening to music that does not feel like your book, and then you're like,
this is so annoying, I can't find the right music.
For example, if you're writing a rom-com, maybe you don't reach for the Game of Thrones soundtrack. You'd probably be better off with the soundtrack for The Holiday or You've Got Mail or something in that vein. Pick some movies that feel like they match the genre and tone of your work in progress, and then go listen to those soundtracks and see if you can find a few tracks and curate a playlist that feels like your book if it was a movie soundtrack. And you'll be so glad you did this when you go and sit down to write and you can just put your headphones on and have this plug and play experience, immersive audio experience that feels like you're hitting play on the movie that is your book. This is one of those things that helps me so much to instantly lock into the zone. You could also try using my immersive writing sessions, which I will link up here in a playlist, and I will also link it below in the description. And basically each of those writing sessions are 2 hours long with timers, so they have built-in writing sprints, and they're all based on different moods and different genres. So some might be fantasy, like you're traveling through a medieval fantasy world. Others are more spooky, like a haunted house or a rainy crime scene. Some are more cozy, like a seaside cottage or riding on a train. So choose your mood. If that sounds like something you want to check out, those are linked below in the description. Okay, before we dive into tip number 4, I want to quickly interrupt myself here to tell you guys about a special live training that I'm hosting this weekend. It's called The Art of Flow. Write faster without burning out. You know that magical feeling where the words are just pouring out of you and time disappears and writing feels effortless? That is the power of flow. And in this live training, I'm going to show you how to tap into that on demand. Forget the grind, the guilt, the endless self-pressure. You don't need that. That's going to crush your creativity. What you need is to prime your brain to step into that state of flow so that your brain can do the heavy lifting for you. So in this live training, you will learn what flow state actually is and why it's every writer's secret weapon, why trying to hustle harder actually kills your creativity and what to do instead, how to design a writing ritual that lets you step into flow on autopilot, the step-by-step blueprint for a focused flow session that gets words on the page without draining your energy, and my best kept secrets for writing consistently, joyfully, and sustainably without ever feeling like you're grinding yourself into burnout. By the end of this training, you will have your own personal flow state recipe that you can return to again and again, every day if you want to, every time you sit down and open your laptop for a writing session. So click the link below to save your spot at the live training. It is happening this Saturday, October 4th at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And if you can't make it to the live stream, don't worry, you will have access to watch the replay as many times as you want. In fact, if you're watching this from the future and it's past October 4th, you can still click that link right now and watch the replay on demand. Also, it's worth mentioning that when you sign up for this live training, you get access to my entire archive vault of live trainings, which is over 40+ hours of live trainings diving deep into writing, brainstorming, plotting, publishing, character development, and so much more. So I hope to see you over there. Click the link below to save your spot. Okay, step number 4, and one of my personal favorites that I don't think I've shared this before, but it has helped me so much. I've been doing this for about a year now, maybe more, and it's helped me so much each day when I sit down to write to lock into writing mode, and that is to make custom Scrivener backgrounds to match your current scene. So if you write in Scrivener like I do, and you write in composition mode, which is basically the mode in Scrivener that you can go full screen and minimize all your distractions, you don't see anything else except what you're writing, the document that you are working on at the moment. So in composition mode, you can actually go into Scrivener and change the background and have a custom backdrop for that page that you're working on, that scene that you're writing. So I typically use Midjourney for this because it's just the quickest way I've found to create a background image that matches the setting of my scene. But if you don't have Midjourney, you can just as easily grab an image off the internet since it's just for your own personal use. So what I like to do is I go to Midjourney and I type in a prompt like hyper-realistic image of a cozy medieval fantasy village, complete with cobblestone streets and Tudor-style buildings with crumbling brick and atmospheric golden lighting. Make it feel like we have stepped into a Tolkien-style world. And you're gonna wanna make sure that you type in --AR 16:9 so that you get a 16:9 ratio image that will fill your entire computer background in the proper aspect ratio. So within a few seconds, you'll get 4 image renderings, and then you can just choose which one you like and download it, then go to Scrivener and upload it into your composition mode background. And to do that, you're just gonna go up to Project and click Project Settings, and then go over to the sidebar and click Background Images and choose from Disk. From there you click Choose and you just select the image wherever you saved it. And then when you go into composition mode, you will see your background displayed behind the scene you're working on, and you can change the paper fade to make it lighter or darker. And again, if you don't use Midjourney, you can just as easily go to Google Images and type in something similar like medieval fantasy village. Just make sure the resolution is high enough so that your background won't be too pixelated. Usually, pro tip, if you type in the word wallpaper at the end of your keywords, it's going to give you higher quality images that are meant to be used as a computer background. So this is just kind of a fun little hack that I use all the time, and it's really quick. It's so quick that you can do it every time you change location in your book, which I like to do if I'm writing a new scene in a new setting, which I do a lot, especially my last 2 books that I've written. The scenes changed a lot, the settings changed a lot, and it really just helped me to lock into that mood that I was writing that day, to be able to see that imagery in the background. And my final tip is to lock into your point of view character's voice. This isn't necessary for getting into the writing mood, but it helps so much, especially if you're switching point of view, if you're writing multiple points of view in your book and you want your character voices to feel distinct from each other, and especially if your character's voice that you're writing is not quite like you. Or maybe they're the opposite gender, or they have just a totally different personality, and it's a little bit difficult to lock into their voice. My hack for doing this is to listen to people who sound like my character. So this could be a fictional character, could be a real person, could be a YouTuber, a podcaster, an actor, a comedian, whoever it may be. If this character or this person has a similar voice, accent, attitude, personality, speaking style, I want you to listen to that voice even for just a few minutes. And what this does is it locks that voice into your mind, like a song. You know how when you listen to a song over and over again, sometimes it gets stuck in your head, and then you're just going about your day and you're still like humming that song and it's still on repeat in your head, or you're trying to sleep at night and it's still stuck in your head. Yeah, really annoying. But you can use it for good in the case of writing, because you can get that person's voice stuck in your head like a song. So this isn't about stealing anybody's voice or stealing a particular character's speaking style or anything like that. You're not stealing, you're just letting that voice and that attitude and that energy kind of rub off on you. And for me, reading does not achieve this the same way that listening does. That's why I say listen to it, whether it's a movie clip or a podcast or a YouTube video or something like that. Listening just gets it in your head in a different way, especially if you listen to it and then just you go and write. Because what happens to me is like I will listen to a character's voice for maybe 5 minutes, 10 minutes or less, maybe 2 minutes. And then I go and open my Scrivener document and I start writing, and I start hearing what I'm writing in that person's voice that I was just listening to. I'm able to shift into that gear without even trying. So if you ever struggle to lock into your character's voice or make them not sound like you, this is my absolute best tip for doing that. So try that as an exercise. And don't just do it once. Don't like just go watch one video and then you're done forever. I would recommend going back to that video or back to that person's voice over and over again, even if it's like listening to an audiobook. I'm listening to an audiobook at the moment, narrated by an actor whose voice reminds me of one of my characters in my current work in progress. And that has just helped me so much. I don't even really care about the book I'm listening to, honestly. I just care about hearing that narrator's voice and getting that voice in my subconscious. If you want to go beyond just locking into the writing mood and actually step into that flow state of effortless creativity, then you don't want to miss this upcoming live training. Again, it's happening this Saturday, October 4th at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Click the link below to save your spot. And if you're like, oh shoot, I missed it, it already happened, you can still click that link and watch the replay on demand. Comment below and tell me what gets you in the writing mood. I want you to all share your best tips in the comments. I want the comment section of this video to be like a treasure trove of tips and techniques to help writers to get into the writing mood quickly and to step into their story world and get excited to open their laptop every day and write. Smash that like button if you liked this video, and be sure to subscribe to this channel if you haven't already, because I would love to have you here in the community. Until next time, my friend, rock on.